Welcome to another installment of MSP webinars. Today is January 22nd, and this is our first one for 2019. So it feels weird to say Happy New Year on January 22nd, but my goal was to give you guys plenty of time to, get yourselves out of, vacation mode or finish up any of those projects you were doing for your clients at the end of the year / beginning of the year. So now you have no excuses. You're all just here and we're going to have fun. Darn it. So with that said, we're going to have a little roundtable today. We're going to ease into it for the year. All right. So today we're going to talk about firewalls. I think we all know what a firewall is, right? I don't have to go into Firewall 101 with any of you guys, right?
Yeah, USG is a firewall.
Well, I'm sure that's debatable to some.
Unfortunately, it's not for others.
Oh, boy.
Man, I'm on cold meds today, so you might have to kick me at some point.
All right, so with that said, we all know what a firewall is. I want to know what firewall is everyone using? And it'll be chaos if you all start talking. So just put something in the chat. What is everyone using? Like brand. I don't need to know, if you're a Sophos user, then you're a Sophos user. I don't need to know it's an XG205 or, So I got two SonicWall guys. Sorry about your luck. A Meraki guy. Sophos with Unify on small clients. The Meraki guy, we know who to go to when we need to borrow money. Cisco ASA, switching to Sophos. All right. Oh, maybe adding Unify for cheap clients. So that's a good idea, Mr. Meraki. All right, so I don't, I'm seeing the usual suspects here, and I'd like to think that there's a lot of similarities, between Meraki, SonicWall, Sophos, and even Unify, but there are definitely some things that are different. Now, for those of you that are on SonicWall, can you tell me, do you still have to pay to have some kind of SonicWall central manager?
No.
Okay. Because I know for a while you had to pay and it was something outrageous like 50 or 100 or something like that just to have some silly centralized server.
No, it's just they sell it in yearly subscriptions for the upgraded security services, but beyond that, the mysonicwall.com is the login, and that's free.
Okay. Well, that's good. Oh, I see someone here uses Untangle, but that's only for home clients. So with that said, so I'll start with you, Matthias. You're a SonicWall user, I believe.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what made you go with SonicWall? Like if you had, there's what, like criteria you had, right? You didn't just randomly pick one. Or did you just?
Well, when I joined this MSP as a business partner, that is what we currently had in deployment. So there was no criteria on my part. The criteria we used in the original selection, to my best understanding, was based largely on the recommendation of a local security firm that we partner with for some of our more stringent required environments.
Got it. Let's see here. Lonnie, you're a SonicWall user. What kind of criteria did you have when you said to yourself, SonicWall's the winner? Oh, I can't hear you. I bet it's got like the wrong microphone. So next to the mute button, there's that little up arrow. If you click that, you should be able to select the microphone you want to use. Okay. Is there anyone else here that is using Sonic Wall that wants to chime in and say, here's why I went with Sonic Wall, here's why I stay with Sonic Wall. And I only tease the Sonic Wall guys because everyone always refers to Sonic Wall MSPs as having oh man, it's escaped me. That syndrome where you're kidnapped and then you like it there after all.
Stockholm syndrome. Yes.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome. That's what I often hear Sonic Wall people referred to as. So that's why I'm teasing you so much.
It's not entirely invalid.
That's so unfortunate. All right, and now I'll go to Ian. Are you there? You must not be there now. Okay, so Andy. There we go. I love how everyone's in here and nobody's listening. Yes. Andy, are you there? Okay. All right. So, Andy, you, sir, are a Sophos guy, and you've got Unify for very small clients. What was your criteria when you went looking and decided on Sophos?
Feature set. Previously, I was using Untangle, and flat out, unless you were replacing a lot of their hard drives with bigger ones for the logging for extended logging capabilities, they just ran out of logging space. And then the VPNs, if you set up a VPN, it was a pain in the butt to do a one-to-one NAT between networks. You could only do one-to-one for individual IP addresses. It was painful. So
got it.
So that and its cost. Cost is a whole lot better under Sophos. Like a whole lot better compared to Untangle.
So I know you fairly well. I feel like you would have done research and you would have looked at Meraki and Sonic Wall. I'm sure there's other ones that matter to some people. What else did you look at? And
I mean, I looked at Datto's networking products. I looked at Datto's access points. I mean, I did look at the whole solution stack, guys, and there is some merit to using a whole solution stack. I just personally did not like the fact that I didn't like having to pay for hardware that I was going to continue to pay a support and maintenance agreement on to be able to use
monthly, no doubt.
Yeah, and
big monthly
with Sophos, you can sometimes they'll have deals like I just bought all my stuff when there was a deal to basically you buy the hardware and it includes a 3-year license with it.
Got it.
So it's really easy to tie a client's 3-year contract to a 3-year Sophos agreement or hardware agreement. So
that's kind of smart.
Yeah. So that's basically what I've done is sign somebody up. They get the new three-year thing, activate the 3 years, and they're set for the next 3 years. And I don't have to worry about any added costs. And they also get the full features of Sophos. So a couple of, I mean, that's price was probably first in comparison. Once I realized how affordable Sophos was compared to Untangle, it was a no-brainer. Like the affordability was the main one, but the feature sets that I needed were there. So
talk to me about some of the other features that you're using from Sophos, because I'm sure even the Ubiquity stuff. No, obviously it's not doing
So,
full.
I mean, the Ubiquity stuff is fine as a general firewall.
Yes.
It does have some IPS things that I wouldn't run on the base USGs, but like if you have a Pro 4, you can run that on there. But a lot of the feature sets were the same between Untangle and Sophos. They just did them in different ways. So that's, I mean, they both had intrusion prevention systems. Now, I will say Sophos had a lot more built out predefined rules for things than Untangle does. So it's a lot more, I won't say, it's a lot easier to just get up and running with a good predefined set of rules. And then from there, you can continue to pare down or pair up the basically what you need, the security that you need.
Okay. So because many of the higher, well, I'll say higher end because they're UTMs, right? Many of the higher end firewalls all do many of the same things. You just liked the way that Sophos did it, and the price. The price.
I'm not gonna lie. I liked the ease of use and the ease of the interface that Untangle provided.
Okay.
Sophos just presents everything in a different way that is more professional.
Got it.
You know, but the features that I needed, which were the one-to-one NATing over a VLAN, or I mean over a VPN, I needed it. So there you go.
Okay. Shiva, you there?
Yo, what's up?
So I know you're a Sophos guy as well.
Yep.
So right now I'm talking about, what kind of criteria did you guys consider when you picked your firewall that you use?
It's got to work, constantly being updated by the manufacturer. Has to be able to handle multiple threat vectors. And what really drew me to them was, I guess, 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago, the integration of Intercept X to their firewalls to be able to shut down an endpoint, isolate it. And Sophos Central has just come a really long way where I can do a lot more than just endpoint protection. I can do data loss prevention and a few other cool things. That's pretty much it for me. And it works every goddamn time.
And for you, was price a factor?
No.
You worry less about price and more about functionality.
I think if you're gonna get something that works really well, you're gonna pay a price for it. If you want a bargain basement shop, then that's a different webinar, I guess.
Right. So Brad, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I know you said you were an ASA shop.
Yes.
That's a whole nother animal in itself.
Yes. So I
want to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to know why you went with ASA to begin with.
That's just what I've worked on for a very long time. Cisco has just been, what I've loved and learned and how I started my IT career. Now, since then, trying to find good certified Cisco individuals has been rather difficult. So I need to move into something that is a little bit easier to manage. I'll keep the Cisco stuff for my enterprise clients, but the Sophos looks like, and I assume Sophos can handle the enterprise clients as well. I just haven't went that direction yet, but I'll start with some of my smaller clients and then move into slowly migrate everybody over to Sophos.
So, excuse me. With that said, Andy, I agree. ASAs are rock solid, but the thing that can be scary is, you really do need to have a Cisco certified professional working on these things. And if you're, as the business owner, not Cisco certified, do you want to have to rely on somebody else? Especially if that somebody else isn't actually working for you. Do you want to have to pay crazy high numbers for consultants to come in and set things up for you?
I will say one of the things about Cisco's that I do like is they do for the most part properly vet their updates.
Yes.
So you won't ever end up in a situation where an update craters your system.
That's good.
99.9% of the time. There was one issue that I ran into when I was working at a different company where one of the Cisco ASAs on VLAN 254 was actually VLAN 1 due to a hardware revision difference.
Interesting.
It was really weird, but and it would only have taken a professional who's gotten all these things. I mean, we paid them because basically you pay them once and everything's set up. And then if you need to add rules or remove rules or something like that, that's something you could do. Like us, we could do. You could just Google the commands for that. But once you get everything set up to the way you like it, it's just set it and forget it. You don't ever have to mess with them. Now, those are purely firewalls. They're not UTMs.
Right, and they're not even...
There's no anything with them. It's just, here's my firewall, here's the rule set, here's where you go by. So right. It's a different beast.
So Brad, with that said, what made you let's see here. What made you decide on Sophos when you decided you were going to switch off of ASAs?
Well, I think Sophos is widely respected within the group. And I think that's kind of what led me that direction, to be honest with you. It seems to be a lot of individuals in MSP webinars go to. So in switching, I needed something that I would have, to be honest with you, help if needed. And I know you guys are kind of there, in the Zoom room, and I can utilize, you guys will help me out if I run into some problems. That was honestly the biggest reason. I know that a lot of you guys have some larger clients, so you've already utilized them in that environment. So I wasn't really too concerned. I thought, you guys have already kind of done the research and looked into it. I did a little bit of research on my own, but it seems like a good product. So
I gotta say, that's trust right there. Brad's like, all the other guys at MSP webinars use Sophos. I'll jump on the bandwagon. That's what I heard. But no, that's really cool, man. And you're right. We have a ton of guys in the Zoom room that are already using Sophos. So, if you get stuck or if any of the other guys get stuck, someone's going to have the answer. And if not, we'll Google it for you.
That's right.
Heck, I did that this morning for Andy. I don't know if my answer actually helped him.
No.
I
saw that answer last night. That's why I was like, this is all garbage.
Oh man. So here's an interesting follow-up question for you, Andy. So you've got Sophos, but then you've also got Unify for what you called your smaller clients. Now, in my opinion, it would be best if you could standardize. So, having two brands to go between, I guess, isn't terrible. But wouldn't it be so much better if you could just go into one, like the Sophos Central Manager, go into one interface, and there's all of your clients with all of their router firewalls?
Yeah.
But nobody wants to pay $500.
It also comes down to a real question of how much is this client wanting to pay, and how much can I get from them? So, if you could have unified USG out there, and because that's what I use for all my stuff. One, I have a controller. It's easy to manage, easy to set up your policies. You just plug and play. Two, you pair it with DNS filter or some other third-party filtering service that's cheap, relatively cheap. Then you get a lot of the bad malware, all that kind of stuff blocked out. And three, their IPS detection on the USGs aren't that great, but it is something. And so basically you enable all the BitTorrent, that kind of stuff, and that kind of typically bad stuff that shouldn't be at a client side anyways. So I mean, you take a different approach to it, but it's a cheaper approach that typically works well for like 10 user or under offices. And you don't have to, it's an approach that's easily repeatable. It's an approach that doesn't how to put it. It's not something that you're going to easily get hung up on.
Okay.
You're not having to learn. It's not like the USG system is stupid easy to the point where you're not having to relearn a bicycle. It's easy.
Fair enough. Now I'm curious, Errol, you popped in after I asked the question. Errol, what kind of firewalls are you using for your clients?
Sophos, XGs, and Unify USGs both.
And is it similar to Andy where, if you can't get someone to pony up for the Sophos, then that's when you put the Unify in?
No. So with a cloud first, mobile first, modern management, a UTM is kind of unnecessary. So I'm just going with the Unifies for those clients.
Oh boy.
So
everybody's about to get real angry with Errol. Oh, and if you're not already angry with Errol, he also loves Intune.
So then
Intune works. It does work.
And I want management for the firewalls and devices and access points in a single cloud controller. And I'm not about to pay. I'm sick of paying $500 for a Sophos access point. That's just ridiculous.
So you're actually leaving Sophos for
only if they're in fully into the modern Azure Intune infrastructure. Then I am, yes.
Okay, so give me a high level overview of what you're talking about with this Azure modern infrastructure.
Okay, so they log into Azure AD. Intune sets policies on the device and access controls. Their file sharing is done through SharePoint, where OneDrive syncs the files to the machine. They're BitLockered. The keys are controlled in the Azure Active Directory as well. User accounts are also controlled there. Windows Defender is taking care of the antivirus. And so when you're on a mobile first, cloud first, you're logging into Starbucks, hotels. I mean, unless you have to VPN into the UTM, I don't see it necessary. And I don't see anyone doing that either. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're doing the USGs, are you doing that real basic tiny USG, or are you getting the beefed up one?
If that's like 8 to 10 users or less, I'm doing the tiny one. Larger ones are all getting the Pro 4.
Okay. So, and the reason I ask is because Ubiquiti, they're really starting to add some of the, I'm going to call them like UTM-like features where now they've got like the intrusion detection and some of that type of stuff. But at the same time, do you really want to enable that on the little one? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know that the little one's able to. I think Robert can speak to this a little more.
It depends. It depends on your bandwidth. The little one will go up to 85 megabytes. Okay. When everything's fully enabled.
And Eric makes a great point that it's beta. You know, a lot of those features that Ubiquiti is pushing out right now are still in beta. And The little one, Ian said, the little, what's the right name for the little USG?
USG3.
Thank you. So the USG3 is able to do most of the features that they offer, if not all. But you're right, Ian. It limits performance, and it limits the throughput that it's capable of too.
USG3 is
so
85.
With that said,
USG3 is 85. The USG4 is 250. Then you got to go to the USG XG.
I mean, Sophos is a great product. It's just the Unify is better price. They're great. I got a Micro Center selling them 5 minutes from my house, so I can just grab them and go 7 days a week.
I will say I really wish there was a Micro Center closer. The closest one's about 65 minutes away.
I mean, seriously, every time I have to deal with Ingram Micro from Sophos, I want to stick a screwdriver in my skull. One time a salesman asked me to fax in my order. Like, come on.
Fax? What is a faxin? What's a faxin?
Ingram Micro. Gee.
All right, so here let's play devil's advocate. Why not get like a little Intel NUC with a couple of USB to Ethernet adapters, install one of those open source router products on it, and just boom, now I've got my own custom router.
Because you want the
open source.
I want the central management in the cloud.
Yeah. How do you centrally manage? How do you centrally manage
that? I don't know.
Exactly.
Look, take central management even out of the picture altogether. If you can prove that you have real-time product protection, data loss prevention, application control, all this other stuff, then the open source is just crap. If it's not going to be able to give you the real protection you need, it's just a sophisticated router. That's what it boils down to.
Okay. But I mean, so are you saying that in your opinion, Eric, like a Ubiquiti USG is not something that you would classify as a firewall?
No, it's a router. It is a managed router.
But I mean, it has a section in the interface that says router or that says firewall.
Correct.
Well, it's a firewall in the sense that you can set policies for blocking ports.
Right,
and
that's a firewall.
Firewall is blocking traffic going to and from areas, your local and your WAN networks.
Which a firewall does, or a router does.
So does my home cable modem.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
where it's failing at is the inspection of the data going through.
Okay.
Because there's no AV scan or anything. It's like a discussion me and Errol had yesterday, though. Okay, we all get the layers, but there's a point of diminishing return as the endpoint security has gotten so great.
I see the argument. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I see the argument.
I mean, if you look at endpoint security, DNS filtering, and great backups, something like that could very well do what you need. It fails in that it doesn't inspect the data very well, and its reporting features absolutely suck. But other than that,
fair enough.
But here's where the part comes in, Robert, is what if you have an e-discovery case or some sort of litigation case, come up because of that breach with these open source and these routers, managed routers, whatever. There's no real logging. So the MSP is on the hook for proving, what happened. Was there actually any data leaked out of the network?
I A, I don't see how you'd ever be on the hook for that. But, if logging, I mean, if it's a compliance location, because of the failure of logging, I could not see putting one in place, like HIPAA or some sort of financial place, because you don't have that logging capability. Or, I mean, if the one thing I played around with is just dump every damn thing to a syslog server, and somebody wants some logging, you can give them megabytes and megabytes of text files. I can't figure out what they say, but they got a lot of pretty words. Let a forensic guy interpret. But I mean, I would never put one in a situation where that might be a case. Doctors' offices, banks, credit unions, stuff like that, I put something different in.
I was telling Robert, couldn't you, if someone wants firewall logs, couldn't you just send them your Windows firewall logs? Right? Anyone?
Keep thinking about that. Only I would think if you routed every bit of your traffic through your server before it left, then you could use those.
Oh.
Sorry, Ariel, I in-tuned out. What did you say?
Couldn't you technically send your Windows firewall logs?
No, because it's not, unless you have, some advanced reporting going on, you're not going to have the in-depth analytics that a forensic person is going to need for it.
Okay.
So, there's a couple brands that I'm surprised haven't been brought up, and Brian brought it up in the chat, and he brought up Fortinet. And there's another brand I was surprised wasn't brought up, and I want to tell you a fun story about the brand name. It's MikroTik, but for whatever reason, I don't know, the first 8 years of me being in business, I thought it was McRotic.
What the?
These McRotic routers are kind of nice. I mean, So, Brian, are you able to talk right now and give us your story? So you're looking at Fortinet right now.
What do you want to know about Fortinet? That's all I am now is a Fortinet shop.
But Brian wants to talk. That's
what I'm saying.
First. Oh,
Let him ask his question.
Jim, what do you want to know?
Yeah, Brad was the one that brought up Fortinet, and I chimed in after that. But if all of my clients could afford a Fortinet, I mean, obviously we haven't tested them and determined if we like them yet. But it looks like that is one of the industry leaders. We work with a company called InfoAggressive, who's an MSSP, and they beat the hell out of products out there in the market, because they provide security services to MSPs to basically help us make better decisions about security. And that's the product that they stand behind right now. And as I did more research, I realized more and more MSSPs were using the Fortinet products, which told me that, they must have an extra level of security if the majority of these MSSPs are choosing this product. I also really like Datto products. I'm a big Datto.
There goes a room.
But their UTM is lacking. So I'm hoping that improves, so I have a lower cost solution for those that can't use Fortinet. The other brand we've used, which I haven't tested or really dug into their UTM features, is PepLink.
Okay. Now, Eric, who said PepLinks are solid?
I did, Quentin.
They're
not a UTM appliance, but for link aggregation, for either multiple LTE, multiple copper connections, or even fiber or secondary connections, PepLinks are solid. I'd still throw a UTM behind them though.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Quentin, because I was going to ask Eric. Eric, did you disappear? So Eric, I would love to know, like, what was your kind of decision criteria on the Fortinet?
We just looked at the industry standards of testing, and Fortinet was number 1 and number 2 in the Gartner poll. So that's what we went with. You know, a lot of my security guys they've been beating into my head to treat security as an onion. You know, just like you would invest, you wouldn't put all your eggs into one basket. You would use different portfolios and things of that nature, and you need to have a layered approach to security. At the time, we were Sophos, and it's, you know, not knocking on Sophos, but, you know, it's very nice to be able to look into your firewall and have your AV and all this stuff into your firewall and get all those analytics. Very nice feature. But that is putting all of your eggs into one basket. So.
Now, Quentin brought up the PEP link, and he brought up one feature that I was going to talk about here, because nobody's brought it up. As you guys have talked about, you know, VPNs, you talked about the pricing, you talked about being able to handle multiple threat vectors, integration with the Intercept X for Sophos, you know, that type of stuff. But no one mentioned having multiple connections, like having a backup connection, or even doing some type of LTE connection. So is that something that any of you guys are doing for your clients today? I see Shiva raised his hand. So
yes.
So are you guys, for the most part, just doing an LTE backup, or are you actually having a second internet provider?
AT&T DSL backup.
Okay, so
I got
you got a DSL backup. Andy's got an LTE modem.
Most of the locations I have only have one internet provider, physical internet provider. So LTE, that's it.
We do a secondary hardwired internet provider plus LTE.
Wow.
So you have a backup for the backup.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Sometimes the backup is running on the backbone of the main, or vice versa. You
Makes
never
sense.
really know until stuff goes down. Sophos now has a module that gets plugged into the back of the larger firewalls, and you can just drop a Verizon SIM card in there, configure it, and you're ready to go.
Nice. Brad, you got something?
Is the failover manual process, or is it a automated process? Just out of curiosity.
Set it up either way if you'd like. If you need help with it later, let me know.
I usually set it up automated. After 2 or 3 minutes of non-connectivity, it flips.
You want to make sure you ping the internet, not the device.
This is true, yes.
And yeah, Bradley and Brian both say they loved the Datto DNA. And this might be the only reason they love the Datto DNA, because it offers 2 connections for WAN, plus it has the built-in LTE failover. And I believe because you're paying such a premium on that DNA box, they're including the LTE.
I think it was only $100 a month when I used it, but I used it in and around October of 17, and it was a smoking pile of shit then. I can't imagine it changed.
I do believe they've had some updates, some major updates to the product. I like Datto. I like them as a company. I do. I know that may be an unpopular opinion, but let's be honest. They own Autotask now too. So I mean, I like Autotask. So
if I could chime in real quick, I was just at Datto's sales kickoff, which is where they plan the whole year for, trying to make money. Mm-hmm. And they are really focused on the MSP market, which I think in my mind, is what sets them apart from other vendors. If you think about a business model and the KPIs you follow to try to make money, if the only market you're serving is MSPs, your products are naturally going to cater to that market better, and they're going to advance with more features faster for that market. When you got all these other big companies like Cisco consuming, enterprise, consumer market, you're just a small piece of their income. So when they're looking at their overall product development roadmaps, they're not as concerned with you, basically. So I just wanted to chime in that that's something I learned about Datto that has really improved my respect for the company.
Shiva.
I think that's a whole pack of snake oil coming from Datto. I'm not saying it's anything bad for you, Brian, but that's their marketing bullshit. Okay. Do you know their networking devices are white label shit that they just put a skin on? They don't even own it. And
They're all Broadcom chips, everything that everyone else uses.
Right, but it's all what they didn't design anything. They're buying the hardware from someone else. No, sir. No, sir. Open Mesh is a white label of something else. Even their Cloud Track is a white label of something else. All Datto's doing is putting a pretty skin on it and saying they won't sell direct to anyone else. Datto hasn't created a product that's better than anything else that's on the market that is actually, probably 20, 30% cheaper?
Okay, so tell me this. If Open Mesh was just a white label of something else, what was it a white label of? Because I liked Open Mesh, but I didn't like that they got rid of it.
I'll tell you. Give me a second. I'll look it up right now. I have it in one of my chats with somebody.
Because I really enjoyed Open Mesh products, but I was bummed that Datto said, "Oh, don't worry, we're not going to make Open Mesh go away." Tee moo ha ha. A year later, Open Mesh goes away. And
Ingenious hardware. Daniel's correct.
Yep, it's ingenious.
Yeah.
You know what's nice about Intune is Microsoft is not going to get bought out anytime soon. And
they built it from the ground up.
Like any of these other companies.
Dude, they really did build it from the ground up.
Or they acquired it. I mean, either way, it's theirs. Listen, you got a Cronus, infinitely better and cheaper than Datto. You have StorageCraft, the basis of Datto, infinitely better and cheaper than Datto. You have Veeam, which I would say Veeam all things. Even Altaro is pretty good if they got their documentation correct. But, Datto is...
all I know is they've helped me grow my business, and I'm making a lot more money with them now.
How have they helped you grow your business?
From a business model standpoint, my recurring revenue is now a lot larger.
Okay, but how did they do that?
Providing products that automate all my processes in my business. 3 years ago, I was a huge bottleneck to my business. Now I could work part-time if I want.
Okay, but you're giving me buzzwords that everyone in this room uses to sell our snake oil to everybody else. So
okay.
Tell me
no snake oil buzzwords. Tools built specifically for the MSP industry that automate day-to-day processes that we deal with managing our clients.
Like what?
Really that simple.
Like what?
So Autotask PS, we use every single one of their products. Across the board. SaaS Backup was the newest one we just added, which is Backupify.
Okay, but
we're making margins on it. So
Brian, let's rephrase it.
That works. I'm not saying it works for your MSP, and I'm not trying to tell you to use Datto.
Listen, I'm just trying to see
my experience. And I haven't been burned by Datto yet, so I don't have any bad blood against them.
I've never been burned by them. Fortunately, I pulled the eject button way before that happened.
Okay.
I mean, when I started, listen, I'm only a year and a half into MSP. I've been a VAR for the last 18, 19 years. Okay. I was like, Datto's great. It's everything in a box and it automates and blah, 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 right up until it doesn't work, which I'm sorry, but for me, backup data is too important to a client to leave in the hands of Datto. Yes, they spend copious amounts of money to give you the support for when that happens. But if anyone here is relying on those snapshots of a startup to mean that the backups are good, I implore you, to actually log in and test it, make sure services are starting. You can run the line of business applications, this, that, and what have you.
We don't have to do that anymore because Datto added that feature. We can actually tell it to test out services for us. So there's another example of time saving. We're not having to manually log into our images. So all I'm saying is, out of all the companies out there over the past 3 years, I've seen Datto put more focus into the MSP market, understand, and I feel like for me personally, they understand my needs more than other vendors do.
Two questions for
my
you,
personal experience.
if you don't mind me asking.
What?
Two questions for you, if you don't mind me asking. How many endpoints do you have under management, and how many employees?
We have 1,800 endpoints and 13 employees.
Oh yeah, you guys are way bigger than me. So
we're looking at acquiring an IT company in Connecticut that is just our same size. They're currently a ConnectWise shop, but thankfully they use Datto, other Datto products.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to use for 1,300 or 1,800 endpoints. You said
1,800, and there's about 80 servers that we manage out of that.
I wouldn't know what to do with 1,800. So you guys are in a different league. I'm sorry.
We're also in the process of changing from being an MSP to an MSSP, and I'm happy to share our security stack with everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to learn.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Is it Vigilant?
What's that?
I asked if it's Vigilant.
The stack?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm
making my own stack for the
Let's
SMB market.
Let's hear the stack.
What's in the stack? I'll pull it up real quick and I'll tell you. Do I have a way to share files on this or no?
You might be able to share your if the green box at the bottom, share, and you can probably share a window.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Careful, you should probably choose the program and not
the whole screen.
Not the screen, because sometimes it'll tell you it's sharing one screen and then share something else.
Okay.
Not to sideline what we're talking about.
On those 13 employees, how many are technicians?
We have 12 is all technical staff.
Interesting.
Yeah. I have my office manager is the only one that's not technical. So can you see that okay?
Yep.
And out of my own curiosity.
What's that?
I'm so sorry to keep interrupting. Out of my own curiosity, Brian, of the technical staff, do you have departments, or do you have any people that are in charge of others?
Yep. So I've got I'll just show you this real quick.
No problem.
Come on. Oh, that's right. It's not sharing my screen. Let me share this other document.
That security stack kind of drives me crazy, man.
Yeah.
What's the cost on that stack per user?
It's all individually priced, and we're bundling it into a bronze, a silver, and a gold package.
There's no possible way all those security products could work together effectively to truly protect your endpoints.
Okay, so we'll get back to the security stack, but here's our current.
Just because it doesn't all integrate with Intune, Errol, does not mean that it won't work for him.
My philosophy.
Listen, the guy's got 1,800 endpoints. All I'm saying is, he's a player.
I'm just saying, there's simplicity and elegance is right there, all in one stack with Microsoft. Piling all these software products on your endpoints. There's no way they can work. There's no way. They can't respond quick enough. I don't know.
Well, all right, let's go back to the security stack. My PowerPoint isn't sharing for some reason.
You guys know what I'm saying.
Do you need
I understand. You know, and again, you know, I don't have one client using all of these services right now. So
I have a question for you, if you don't mind me asking. What's your average price per user or device right now that you're charging across your 1,800 endpoints?
I can do the math on that real quick.
Cool.
$55 on average
is what you charge
for that's our recurring revenue right now is about 100 grand a month.
Right.
So I just divided 1,800.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, okay.
And then we usually have about 30 to 50 grand in project work on top of that.
What, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, because, you know, at 1,800 endpoints, as I said, that's large. What's your margin like? Not including labor. I mean, if we're just talking tool cost here.
Well, so this past year, we just redid our whole accounting system so I can track individual profits across every single product that we're selling.
Right.
So I don't have that information, but our overall net profit margin is at 14%.
Oh, okay.
And our goal is to get that, you know, to 20% is the golden number, of course, that everyone likes to have.
How are you paying 13 employees on 100 grand a month?
We're in a small market. Our highest paid. So our market, it spans about 100 miles. We're in San Luis Obispo, California, and across that 100 miles, there's only about 250,000 people. So, you know, the pay here is, you know, a lot lower than if I was in San Francisco or LA. Unfortunately, we can only charge about half what they charge in San Francisco and LA as well. So it just has to do with the market. Our highest paid guy, I think, is about maybe 70K.
Hey, Quentin, how far away from him are you?
He must not be
there anymore.
Oh.
Where did you say you're at, Brian?
What remind me again what I was just talking about?
Where are you?
Oh, San Luis Obispo, where I'm at physically. San Luis Obispo, California.
Yeah, I think Quentin's is somewhere way up north. He was close to where the forest fires were recently.
If you look at the California map, we're on the coast, right in the middle of San Francisco and LA.
Got it. So Quentin is near Paradise.
Okay.
Physically, I know he works for an office that's elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
Do you? I don't know how well you know that area or whatever.
I'm aware of the devastation that happened there. That's about it.
That's a pretty comprehensive security stack there.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, and this gets back to a comment that was made earlier, you know, we're talking about UTM. And, you know, I'm obviously concerned about UTM primarily because if something gets on the network that doesn't have endpoint protection, it doesn't have any protection, I at least want to have it at the gateway. But we use Cylance for all of our endpoint protection, which is the next gen AI. It's about 3 times the cost of WebRoot.
Mail Protector is shit, by the way.
That's what I'm wondering about. I'm looking into Mail Protector and Zix.
Mail Protector is shit. I just left it for Barracuda.
Okay.
Zix is good. It's what Sophos licenses right now, but they're building their own that's going to be available in March. DNS Filter's good. FortiGate, yeah, that's good. Auvik, I mean, I don't know what AEM's capable of, so maybe you do need Auvik. Auto Elevate, steaming pile of horse shit.
What have you used it?
You can get better with something like what do you call it? Threat Locker. Their new release has something that does what Auto Elevate does, and it's included in the price.
Well, not only that, but I tried getting Auto Elevate to come on for a webinar.
You need an NDA for pricing with that dumbass.
Yeah, he wouldn't even talk to me about what they charge, let alone talk to you guys about what he charges. So
we're getting the service at 28 cents an endpoint.
Okay.
Even at 28 cents an endpoint, I wouldn't deal with the guys at Auto Elevate. There's no fucking way. If I had to go, if I were taking my device count to them, I would not pay 28 cents.
Now, did you just breach your contract with them, Brian?
What?
By saying the price?
Well, yeah, because they wanted us to sign an NDA to give us pricing.
What, we don't have an NDA on file with all of us? You're not recording this and posting it online, right?
It does say live on YouTube up in the corner.
I'm joking.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm just looking through the list here. There's so much. So you are all in on the Autotask stuff. Was that the case before Datto bottomed out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I started Autotask in 2016. Before that, I had a web development company I sold last year. So we had literally developed our own PSA, and I realized I was doing it the hard way, and went to Autotask and just used every single service they had. I loved, and then we partnered with Datto before the merge. We were already using Open Mesh before Datto bottom. So all of these products I was using before all the mergers. So for my situation, it worked out kind of nicely with all the mergers, because now I'm just dealing with one big vendor that I've developed a really good relationship with.
Cool. Well, very good, man. Sheva, any other questions?
No, sir.
And I'm going to be speaking at DattoCon. Hopefully, I'm working that out right now. This will probably be one of my talks, security stack. So if you guys are going to that.
If you on that Breach Secure Now, oh sorry.
No, go ahead, Brad. I'll ask after. Please.
On that Breach Secure Now, have you utilized that product?
We just signed up for it about 2 months ago. So I feel like I've kind of barely used it.
Gotcha. I was just curious what it compares to KnowBe4, some of those other products that are out there. I didn't know if you've experimented with any of them.
So if I was already selling this product to all my clients, I would probably go with KnowBe4. They're more established and they have a lot more content. They don't offer dark web scanning, and their price is like 2 to 3 times higher than Breach Secure Now. So with the fact that I'm going to all my clients and saying, hey, I've got all these services I want to sell you now that you need, and have to build the value on it, I felt like Breach Secure Now was a better kind of toe in the water step into that service, where I wasn't going to have such a huge cost initially. And then if I find clients that maybe want a more advanced service, then we could look at KnowBe4 for them. I apologize for putting the security stack up. I mean, we are talking about UTMs, but I didn't mean to derail this off of UTMs.
No wonder you know what he's responding to me. I've been muted the whole time. No, it's okay.
I got a question.
I think we all have a little bit of ADD, so it's okay to derail sometimes. Go ahead, Sheva.
What's the end user price or device price for this security stack?
So I'm literally working on that right now. What you saw is my rough draft of just figuring out what products and what layers. I've got the pricing all figured out. Now I got to figure out my bronze, silver, and gold. And what I plan on doing is having my silver package be the package we recommend as a minimum. Anyone who doesn't want to sign up for that, we'll still take them on as a client with a bronze package, but they sign disclaimers stating they turned down security services we stated they needed. And then the gold package is for those overachievers that want, all the bells and whistles. So
what's your cost on the 3?
Well, I haven't put those packages together yet to determine what I want in each package. So that's why I can't answer your question right now, unfortunately. Gotcha. But I'm literally in the next week finalizing all that.
Yeah, no, I'd like to hear more about it. It seems very comprehensive.
Well, one thing that we are going to do is on Thursday, we're going to have a webinar. It's going to be another roundtable, just because, again, getting our feet wet for the year, right? Everyone's going, what do I need to change? It's January, right?
I need to make some money.
Yes. So on Thursday, we're going to have a conversation about your stack. So I know, Brian, you're talking about your security stack. We actually did this webinar once already last year, but with stuff changing every 3 months and, Kaseya buying half the industry, I'm sure people have changed what they're using, right? So I want to just see what everyone's using, whether it's your RMM, your PSA, your everything. And we're going to talk about that on Thursday. So it's going to be another one of these. And you can register at mspwebinars.com. Does anyone else have any last questions? Shiv, I know you love learning from guys that are running these bigger MSPs than you. So
yeah, it's sobering.
You'll get there.
Yeah, one day.
It only took me 13 years now.
It's not bad.
I will say that once you get to a certain size and you want to grow more, you want to start looking at acquisitions. The whole growing using a sales team in the MSP industry, I have struggled with in my market anyway. And so I'm excited about the acquisition we're looking at this year.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
Tons to learn from, man.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, I do hope you all have a fantastic day, fantastic week, and hopefully I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Are we going back into the Zoom room now, the other one?
For What's Your Stack? Yes, I'll see, for those of you that are members of MSP Webinars, I'll meet you guys in the Zoom room.
Later,
we'll continue our conversation. Take care, guys.
Deuces on.